I've been playing games for a minute now. There are some communities and franchises I've been fortunate enough to dodge, like thank fuck I never got into the Airsoft Pro equivalent of first-person shooters with Rainbow Six Siege. But I've at least touched on and been touched by most fan bases at least once. And I gotta say, the better a game is, the more hairy-knuckled, mouth-breathing, sweaty-neck, jerk-making, peeing, cankle-having, Reddit-surfing human Cinnabons seem to gravitate to it. Especially if it's online. But which fanbase has the most putrid, grotty, professionally unemployed, hairy-knuckled, mouth-breathing, sweaty-necked, jerk-making, peeing, cankle-having, Reddit-surfing human Cinnabons? First, I'll break down our tiers. At the bottom, we have the most lint hoarding, eye crust collecting, mayonnaise gargling, discolored bedsheet having, putrid, grotty, professionally unemployed, hairy knuckle, mouth breathing, sweaty neck, jerk making, peeing, cankle having, Reddit surfing human Cinnabons, also known as Redditors. Next, we have the guys who absolutely hurt their game as a collective and actively limit its potential as a franchise, especially for new players, being the sole reason why a lot of people decide to not continue playing, even if they do genuinely enjoy the game. We'll call this tier cesspool. After that, we have those which isn't that bad, but still overall a net negative in terms of community. To be honest, pretty much any game with online functionality is gonna go here. We just can't seem to fucking behave ourselves, so this is your run-of-the-mill toxic. Then we get to the positive tiers, where it actually starts to feel welcoming. It's subtle, but there's a hint of deodorant? Gone, almost as quick as it came. There are still bad eggs here and there, but overall the community adds to the game. We'll call this the tier who actually washes their hands. And finally, the GOATs. This fan base is a family. And not like your family, no. Because these guys actually love you. Better yet, they might even like you. And you like them. You can find new friends in these communities. Friends you would sooner die for than your own child. The game could be genuinely booty cheeks, but it doesn't matter, because you haven't seen another person with a haircut in years, and the people in this community actually love themselves enough to get them regularly. These guys contribute to society just by existing. It's possible. Some of them have even had sex. With a woman. With a pulse. We'll call this tier chocolate digestives, because I like chocolate digestives. Anyway, let's start light with our first community, the Souls series, the grandfathers of grandstanding and get good culture. God forbid you try and start any kind of useful discussion, feedback, or constructive criticism of anything about the games for fear of being disregarded as a filthy casual, which, by the way, is code for second-class citizen. I find that the biggest problem with the Souls community is that they have a profound distaste for any kind of enjoyment that isn't in the form of being brutally pegged by a Rani body pillow who's strapped with more attachments than Neo while trying to no-hit run the entirety of the franchise with no monitor, no controller, no items, no electricity, no console, no PC, and no cerebral cortex. This isn't a problem unique to Souls, and don't worry, this point will return soon, but it stands out in the Souls fanbase because they are actually not that bad. In fact, they're pretty good. And it's because the games are hard, despite what the elitists say. So the vast majority of the community rely on one another to keep them going when the going gets tough. Be it through walkthroughs, builds, lore breakdowns, and of course, the message system. For a game that prior to Night Rain was pretty much entirely a solo experience, it is really easy to believe you're not alone in this journey thanks to these little things. The limited vocabulary even works to its benefit, because the messages have to get creative to portray what they want, which has birthed some community memes that have lasted the test of time. Even when there's one specifically made to waste your time or fuck you over, it still kind of feels like you just got punked by your brother rather than actually infuriating you. All that being said, I think the Souls fanbase is pretty high on the tier list. We're gonna go hand-washing tier. Next up, we'll go with the Smash community. Honestly, you can go with any of the FGC, because I think they all share the same sort of highs and lows, but Smash is the most FGC of all of the FGC. Let me explain. The worst thing about the FGC is how damn seriously they take it. They act like they're really scrapping in these games, man. I've never seen more real-life beef and disrespect than some of these events. There's entire compilations out there of people throwing controllers, assaulting other players, and just being downright degenerates. We've all been there. To throw a controller or two is to be human. But even when I was like 14, at the peak of my ineptitude, I can't imagine being so down bad I would act like that in public, on stage. And that's why I think Smash is the most FGC game. Because of all of the fighting games, it's a party game. Before anything, it's designed to be welcoming and non-competitive. But these inbred fucking man-children show less decorum than rivaling gang members if you dare pick a character that isn't so far down the tier list as teabagging Satan. But it's not all bad. The lows are low, but the highs are high. Evo moments are some of the greatest accounts of community-driven events in history. Nobody does not get goosebumps watching the Daigo parry. And there's something special about hitting the training mode and seeing real progress in your matches, or when the whole community rallies behind one guy who's somehow destroying the goats with a character everyone thought was low tier. Fighting games are just so undeniably special because it's not about leveling up a character, but about leveling up yourself with game sense, composure, matchups, combos, block strings, mix-ups, move lists, cancels, tier lists, mind games, spacing. The community basically has their own language, they love the game so much. Unfortunately, because of how high the skill ceiling is, and the general consensus being that there should be more musk than oxygen in the air at all times during tournaments, I cannot put the Smash community any higher than toxic. I think it's time we address one of the younger and more relevant communities of today, the Marvel Rivals community. I must admit, I'm biased. A very large portion of my sub count is thanks to the Marvel Rivals videos I've done. So I'm not just part of the community as a player, but as a creator as well, even if it is small time. But outside of those videos, I have never, in my life, seen more aggression in a comment section. If I post any Marvel Rivals clip at all, regardless of what it is, if it gets a single comment, there is a 90% chance they will be telling me I'm a dog shit player who's the reason they're stuck in plat, or I don't deserve to have fun with my character because I'm just feeding enemy ult charge. Like, brother,
it's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
I don't know what it is about this game that just turns grown men into the real life equivalent of a Wolverine, just slobbering and snarling at anything that moves. Don't even get me started on the Gooners. I don't blame the game because comics in general have always had a history of sexualizing their characters, but the level of tomfoolery I witnessed when the Malice skin dropped, along with Emma Frost's trailer, Jesus man, fucking clean yourself up.
You're a fucking disappointment.
If you really want to see just how belligerent the community is, look no further than that whole Necros situation a couple months ago, where other creators were boycotting him for saying that support is easy. He proceeded to pull off possibly the most successful rage bait I've ever seen for like a month straight with little to no effort. It's like dangling a pair of musty balls in front of your mum. It's just too easy, bro. They can't help themselves. Even right now, you typing away. Look at you. Look at you. Do better. And they're also pretty egregious, even in-game. And I play on console. God forbid what it must be like when these people have keyboards. Shout out to my favourite supports, the ones who pop ult half a second after the tank dies, just to get maximum efficiency, you know? Honestly, the game's great, and when I see the community getting all excited about the new characters and everybody getting along in my comment section, thinking of ideas that would be cool to see, it's super nice. But from what I can tell, that shit doesn't make it past character speculations, because any other kind of content seems to be a breeding ground for people with a future that's about as bland as a non-chocolate digestive biscuit. Cesspool tier. You could easily give up ranked or the whole game entirely because of the community. Now we'll ease off the gas a tad with Call of Duty. I will level with you. I don't think it's that bad. And this is probably going to be the worst take of the whole video because I honestly can't defend that argument at all. There's just something about it. I truly believe that if most gamers today hadn't grown up hearing slurs they didn't even know how to spell, online gaming in general would be a much better place. But it's just such a quintessential part of our childhoods. I wouldn't trade it for anything, and I think the community all looks back on it with fond memories despite the pain it caused us. COD voice chats were basically their own genre of YouTube a long time ago, and when they died out, a part of me died with them. I don't think I'm alone in that sentiment. Everyone remembers seeing cool clan emblems, or trying to beat your high score on zombies, or hitting your first kill streak, or having that one friend who was prestige fucking 204 within 48 hours of the game dropping. It's just a part of growing up. And as for today, COD is still one of those industry icons which is a lot more friendly to newcomers. People I know who don't play any other kind of video games still play COD. Like it or not, it bridges the gap between gamers and non-gamers. So, despite it housing some of the most three-chin, crummy-bearded, crooked-teethed, postulous, gravy-veined, perma-lonely, lint-hoarding, eye-crust-collecting, mayonnaise-gargling, discoloured bedsheet-having, putrid, grotty, professionally unemployed, hairy-knuckled, mouth-breathing, sweaty neck, jerk-making, peeing, cankle-having, Reddit-surfing, human Cinnabuns, because of the nostalgia, I have to give it a very biased hand-washing tier. Fine. I've danced around it long enough. League of Legends. Quite possibly the granddaddy of all toxic communities. I really wanted to build this part of the video up and make it super dramatic and foreboding, but I never really got into League. However, I know several, and I mean several, people who have sworn off this game for the rest of their days because they were getting more racist by the minute. Some of the most pleasant human beings I know started acting like they found the fucking symbiote suit, bro. Men who treated their girls like angels, destined for a happy family, were seen blasting Chris Brown for multiple days at a time. Devoted sons, on their way to doctorhood, that were raised by single mothers, started looking like they'd swing on her just for bringing home the wrong flavored Pop-Tart. Ex-convicts, who were totally reformed and used their experience to help out at local churches and youth centers, grabbed that mouse one time, they were back in pen before they lost the first tower. Bro, it was scary what I saw this game do to people. I don't even know what it is or why people get so upset. I guess because it's so easy for one person to just start snowballing, so even if a single member of your team fucks up, the whole game is pretty much over. I've just genuinely never heard anybody say anything good about League, despite it being one of the most popular games of all time. It's got everything else you'd expect from a dogshit community. Gooners, elitists, broken characters everyone hates, some of the worst streamers imaginable. But League is just different, man. Even people who play League get mad at me when I say nice things about League. So for reasons I don't think I will ever fully understand, I can't think of any game more fitting to go into the Redditor category. You've probably noticed that we've had one game in each category, so we've got one tier left unfilled. The chocolate digestive of video game communities. The best of the best. It's as good as the League community is bad. That's right. Rock and Stone, brothers. Rock and Stone. Deep Rock Galactic is a good game. But in my personal opinion, it's not an amazing game. However, I've never been so welcomed, so inspired, so cared for, so prioritized as a valued member of the team, with a bunch of guys I've just met and will likely never meet again. The whole game is centralized around a bunch of dwarves mining for valuable materials, fighting off an assortment of aliens and monsters to do so. The devs also use a lot of environmental storytelling to create an already existing sense of teamwork, because the company you work for, Deep Rock Galactic, has labor conditions almost as bad as Amazon. So, before you even load into a game, sitting around with the boys, getting drunk and dancing before hitting a 12-hour shift, there's something already warm about that. Shared suffering and whatnot. Each class is also good at different things, so you're incentivized to work together and protect your fellow dwarves. And believe me when I say, nobody's leaving anybody behind in Deep Rock Galactic. One of the first games I ever had was some kind of special event. I had no idea what was going on, but apparently this was like their 7th attempt and they were running out of time before the event ended. They needed to beat this mission for a special item. We got to the very end and I went down. All they had to do was stay by the drill and leave me. They were home free. But the absolute fucking heroes must have turned on Freebird because they left the drill, all 3 of them, and saved me. We made it to the ship, but we failed the mission. I don't think they ever got their item. I hope those boys are doing okay. Deep Rock is a special experience and it's one you need to try. At the very least, wash the taste of sweaty balls out of your mouth from competitive solo queue and feel the warm embrace of a community who actually just wants to have fun. It will be a culture shock. Easy chocolate digestive tier. To wrap up, most online games are just filled with very loud minority of aimless, freeloading, decrepit, monster-fueled, beanbag-shaped, rotund, troglodyte, three-chinned, crummy-bearded, crooked-teeth, postulous, gravy-veined, permaloney, lint-hoarding, eye-cross collecting, mayonnaise-gargling, discoloured, bedsheet-having, putrid, grotty, professionally unemployed, hairy-knuckled, mouth-breathing, sweaty neck, germic, and bean cankle-having, Reddit-surfing human cinnabuns. But sometimes it's kind of funny, so I don't actually give a shit. That being said, let me know if you want a part 2, because I still have a lot of other communities, both good and bad, that I want to make enemies out of. See you soon, brother.